There you have it. Bengaluru's contractor Babu politician nexus being revealed on tape. Is this the commission Raj that is sinking not just Bengaluru but all our cities? I'm getting messages from people in different cities, from Pune, Gurgaon, saying please come to our cities. The same thing is happening here. Are all political parties guilty of bribery, or should the ruling party in Karnataka, the BJP, take prime responsibility? What will it take to end Commission Raj? Just some of the questions we'll raise. Srinivas Alavalli, head civic participation, Janagra Center for Citizenship and Democracy, activist who's been raising this issue, joins us. Ajay Kumar Singh, former DGP Karnataka, who is one of the most respected officers from Karnataka with us, will join us shortly. S. Prakash, BJP spokesperson Karnataka. Aishwarya Madhav, Congress spokesperson, joining us. Mr. Prakash, you must start, because for the last 5 years, BBMP, Bengaluru ruled by BJP, Karnataka ruled by BJP. When Siddaramaiah was in power, you used to say 10% commission sarkar. Now it has gone up to 40%. Na khaunga, na khane dunga. What happened? Everybody seems to be eating.
No, first of all, we were not in the power for the last 5 years in the BBMP. Let me be very clear. It was the Congress party was in the power for the last 4 years. Only for the last term, the BJP came back to power after the change of power at the Vidhan State Assembly.
That's right.
We were not in power.
So that is since 2019, post 2019.
Let me complete.
Yes.
In the last 22 years, BJP is in power in Karnataka for only about 7 years. Rest of the period, it is Congress and the JDS which were in power. JDS sharing power with the Congress party are with us for 2 years. So we are only there for 7 years. And this 40% what these contractors are speaking about it, I feel first they should be put behind the bar immediately. When they confess that the public money is being splurged and they are doing under quality work, taking huge amounts of allotments, first they should be sent to jail. How can they do this? They should have refused to take the work if the 40% commission is demanded. And can we believe these corrupt contractors, whatever they say, and they are gone.
Prakash, you are blaming the contractors and saying that the neta, at the top of the pyramid is the neta. Come on.
Sir,
Prakash, don't blame the contractor and the neta. Both should go to jail.
No, let them prove, let them give the details and lodge a complaint with the Lokayukta, which is more powerful now, and let them take all those who have taken the money to the jail. I have no problem at all. We have about 15 Congress MLAs in Bangalore city. One person, many of them are getting re-elected repeatedly for the last 20 years. What are they doing? Is their constituencies free from potholes, or it is free from any of the civic problems? If the Bangalore has a problem, it is every party MLA is also responsible. And these contractors who are confessing on camera, I take to your...
they even wrote to the Prime Minister, some of them. You know that some of them went public and wrote to the Prime Minister.
Election-driven. Sir, they are election-driven campaign.
You are saying the contractors are election-driven. They have been paid by the opposition. Is that what you are saying?
No, why don't they go to the police? Why don't they go to the court? Why don't they go to the Lokayukta? Speaking to the media repeatedly for the last 1.5 years, repeating the same old complaint without putting a shred of evidence. I'm not saying everything is very perfect, very clean. I'm saying if there is any corruption there, why are you keeping quiet? Why are you accepting that contract?
You're saying that the contractors should go to the Lokayukta, they should go to the police authorities, not come on media and raise these issues without what you're claiming is no evidence. Remember, this is on hidden camera. Okay, that the reason they've now come. Okay, let Aishwarya Madhav respond. Aishwarya Madhav, the sense will be that Bengaluru, as Mr. Prakash said, has had municipal authorities where the Congress also has been in power, and the JDS, and indeed the BJP. So this is not an issue which is necessarily political party specific. The BJP is in power in the Vidhan Sauda. Is that enough reason to blame only the BJP for what's going on, the so-called 40% Raj?
Rajdeep, listening to Mr. Prakash, the BJP absolutely has no hand in this, but everybody besides them seems to be culpable. And let me just clear out one singular thing. I think the 40% conversation has been going on for so long, and now convincingly we know who all are implicit in the process, and that I think, is extremely shameful. I come from this state, I've been part of this city, and to see my city suffering like this because of this sort of entrenched system of corruption and bribery is extremely shameful. But Mr. Prakash says, let them come out with evidence, we will take care. I'll give you the example of Mr. Santosh Patil, who was a contractor who committed suicide, who had letters, who gave out, spoke to the media as well, killed himself. Mr. Ishwarappa went through one of these very perfunctory sort of
produce any evidence?
Prakash sir, I did not interrupt.
Please don't deviate the subject. Please stick
No,
to the topic.
no, she did not interrupt you. Let her speak. Let her speak.
Rajdeep, the saddest part today is that even if you want to speak out the truth, the same manner in which Mr. Prakash completely discredit the Contractors Association, who, mind you, depend on the government money for their livelihood, if they've gone to the extent of saying, we haven't been paid our dues without a bribe, risking being blackballed, risking being ostracized by the government for further contracts, you realize how serious the situation is. So now the question comes down to, where does the buck stop? Where does accountability come from? I can tell you very clearly that tomorrow, if you have an investigation, if there are legislators on either side of the board, including us, we will take responsibility for it, because we have had ministers resign, we have had MLAs put under the scanner, while the BJP, whether it's Arga Jnanendra, Ashwath Narayan, in all these scams that you've seen throughout, even Mr. Muniratna, you've seen the BJP has completely covered up, including Ishwarappa, covered up for them.
Okay.
I can tell you, I live in a state where it's not just Bangalore infrastructure, where even now in demolitions, you see the sort of discrepancy of who they're prioritizing. But if the BJP is really a government that is of a difference, if they're against corruption, if they're going to do na khaunga, na khane dunga, the line in Hindi, then let them start here.
Okay.
Let them have heads roll, and not just of officers. Officers are not paying to God or a temple, they're paying to politicians. Name them, shame them, take them out of power, or take action.
Okay.
Allow the process to flow.
Let me though just for a moment get a view from civil society. Joining us is Srinivas Alavalli. Srinivas, why don't citizens file FIRs, possibly based, a story like this can become the basis of it. Let there be an investigation. You see, all of this is being done in the media domain, but the police seems unable to actually, should citizens also now name and shame? The time has come. Who are these illegal encroachments? I've been given a list of all the illegal encroachments and which politician is allegedly behind it. Is the time come to name and shame?
I believe that's what we are all doing now, right? In fact, I must point out that it's a primary job of the media to do this, and I commend India Today for what it has done today. It's not like none of us know about it, and like you mentioned, everybody is calling you from every state and city, and this is the reality of India today. Whether it is urban, rural, Haryana, Karnataka or Maharashtra, anywhere, the percentages are accepted reality of India. And while our political parties may pretend to be divided by the ideology, they are completely united by the corruption. I was looking at the list of MLAs that Mr. Prakash was mentioning. In Bengaluru, we have 28 MLAs, Rajdeep. And out of the 28, you'll be shocked to know that nearly 20 of them are in their third or fourth term.
Yes.
They get repeatedly elected, evenly balanced between Congress and BJP. Both parties have equal number of seats. Maybe right now Congress is little less because some of the Congress MLAs have moved into BJP in the last year or so. But for the last 15 years, both parties had equal number of MLAs, and they keep getting elected again and again. So if you were to ask civil society a question about naming and shaming and filing FIRs, the larger question I think we should ask the civil society is, why are you voting them again and again? If these are the people that made our city into this.
No, but they will say they have no option, Srinivas. They will say at the moment many of these MLAs are also developers. The developers themselves are the ones promoting the so-called IT parks that are taking place. And the fact is that in many of these cases, these are encroaching onto public land, and the contractors are happily paying the bribes, and everybody benefits. The builder benefits, the Babu benefits, and the Neta benefits.
Let's not confuse the 40% commission on public works to the encroachments of stormwater drains for private development, right? These are two different things. And the 40% will pale in comparison with the thousands of crores we are talking about in terms of occupying public space and encroaching. So much bigger and different problem. Even there, Rajdeep, if the citizens don't have options, don't the political parties have options? You mentioned the famous slogan by Honorable Prime Minister, na khaunga, na khane dunga. Why are the same people being given tickets again and again? Same question goes to Congress party.
Okay, good.
Isn't this the right time to replace your set of leaders? If this is the position they brought our city to, isn't it time for a change?
I have a figure which says that there are the assets of all the municipal councillors have gone up by 10 times and more over the period they've been in power on an average. Some have gone by 40, 50%, even 100, 200% more is the list of the assets of these various leaders. But I'm also joined, Ajay Kumar Singh, former DGP Karnataka, is on the phone line. Ajay Kumar Singh ji, what is surprising is everyone, this is Bangalore's worst kept secret. Why is the police, in your view, not acting, Mr. Singh? Why is the police reluctant to crack down in a way on these contractors who are claiming now openly 40% commission?
No, I'm very surprised you are saying crack down on the contractors who are complaining of corruption. You see, I would like to come back. I missed, say, first 15 minutes or so. The issue of water logging and suffering of people due to the heavy rain. So there I will say that there's no doubt there have been heavy rains and some areas are flooded and people are suffering. But what is surprising, this happens every year. I have been in Bangalore for decades.
But what we have exposed today is how contractors are openly saying on camera that they are paying these bribes up to 40%. So I'm looking at the Commission Raj. Why is this Commission Raj not being exposed and cracked? We put out these stories. Who's going to act against them?
No, I think, yeah, if the proper complaint is given, then whosoever is involved, I think the bureaucracy and the politicians and the contractors, I think all are party to it.
But will the police crack down, sir? Will the police crack down on the local officials or indeed the politicians?
No, I am not aware which complaint has been given to whom, but I can say as a retired police officer, yes, if a complaint is given, they must act as per law. And this naming and shaming enough is not enough.
Is not enough. You're calling...
And again I hearing that citizens must do this, citizens must do that. All right, citizens have to do everything, and then what for governments are there? What for ministers are there? What for MLAs are there? What for whole police and all other bureaucracy is there? What for are they there? I mean, they must perform their duties.
Sure,
and if not, they must be held responsible.
Very good point. Therefore, taking out from what Mr. Singh has said, Aishwarya Mahadev, if the 40% commission, you want to make an election issue, go and file a criminal complaint, go and file a police complaint. Why don't you file a police complaint? The problem is, the fear is all of you are involved. If today you file a criminal complaint against the BJP MLA, they will also have Congress municipal councillors and MLAs who are also in this. We know all the big developers who are in the Congress as well.
Rajdeep, the fact of the matter is whether it was the Contractors Association or whether complaints that have come out with PSI, KPTC, even the gunny sack scam that is happening now, the local Congress leaders have spoken to these associations about filing complaints. One. The second thing, this issue has been raised for special discussion and also for investigation even in the well of the House, with our CLP leader and Mr. D.K. Shivakumar both talking about it repeatedly in the capacity of legislators that a special investigation should be undertaken.
File an FIR. Why don't you go after this show, say that you've just seen a show on India Today where 40% commission is being put, go and file an FIR, Aishwarya Mahadev.
I will file an FIR, Rajdeep, 150%, but I also hope Mr. Prakash on this show can give us assurance that he will talk to his government to take some action. Let's take the criminal justice system or the police out of this, but also the fact of what the government, the current dispensation is going to do rather than just abdicating responsibility and apportioning blame onto others.
Okay, good point. The buck stops with you, Mr. Prakash. You see, you are in power in Karnataka today. You are claiming, the Prime Minister claims that there will be no corruption allowed, zero tolerance for corruption, and yet in Karnataka there are serious questions being raised over corruption. There's a PSI scam, there are encroachment scams, now there is Commission Raj. What are you going to do? It's time that you also acted.
Sir, in PSI scam, government is very serious about it. Several senior police officers are behind the bar. Several brokers have been arrested and they are behind the bar, and the investigation is going in the right direction. Regarding the encroachment scam, I told you earlier, out of 22 years, it is 17 years Congress party was in power. I can give you the
Sir, let's
list
not
of,
go into past. I am talking about today.
No,
Today,
we are
when the
here for the last-
40%
we are-
charge is being
No,
made and
sir.
made so seriously, where is the effort being made by the government to say, okay, we will appoint a special investigation team, let them go and find out whether these charges are true or not? It's the government's responsibility.
No, CID is already inquiring into PSI scam. These contractors who are charging that the 40% is being demanded, for the last 2 years they are making the same complaint. Where is the document to or where is the complaint against any son of the minister? I will tell you, in a KPCC press meet, before the press meet, Ugrappa and another media in charge openly were discussing about the DK Shivkumar increasing the commission from 7% to 15%. Brazenly,
Sir,
the person has been removed now.
the citizens, sir, it is not your corruption versus others. I will repeat
no,
this.
I am telling you,
Mr.
see,
Prakash, in Karnataka, the fact is it is your government ruling
I
there.
am not defending
If there is a
any
no, you are no, sir.
politician
It
or
is time. It is time that politicians started accepting accountability. You cannot have the kind of situation that we have today in Bengaluru. I'm afraid our investigation must result, we hope, in at least some attempt made to clean the air. That's all we want.
I completely agree with you. I am not defending any corrupt politician or the contractor. The contractors, I request them, go to the police station, go to local, file a complaint.
Okay.
Let there be any accountability.
The last complainant.
Okay, let me leave it then. I've heard all the sides to this story, and it's very disappointing in a way that politicians are simply unwilling at times to accept that the buck must stop with them. But I appreciate that at least this investigation hopefully will trigger a wider debate in Bengaluru and indeed in all our cities. The time has come now to act against these contractor mafias that exist and indeed their political masters, because they won't exist or flourish without their political masters. I appreciate my guest joining me here on the news today. So Operation Bengaluru Bribegate is done, and that is our top story at the moment. These contractors admitting bribing on tape. Operation Bengaluru Bribegate